Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Eddie Marcus again, spokesman and advocate of basic human rights for all people. What I mean is those God given rights, those rights that are delivered to you from your creation, as much yours as is your skin. I advocate for that. I speak for that as a representative of that unseen spirit that is responsible for all existence. But ladies and gentlemen, what I want to share with you today is this. When I was a kid, I heard a lot of stories about God, how wonderful God is, and heard about his son Jesus and how wonderful Jesus is. And I heard people claiming to be followers of Jesus, followers of God. But I never saw them doing anything to indicate to me that they had any relationship with God. I saw them as people who were going to school once a week or several times a week, getting information about something that they knew nothing about except the information that they were getting. Information that did not mean that much to them. However, they used it as a crutch to pretend that they were a little different from everybody else. And I say this because they were talking about God being good and God being love and Jesus being love, and those who were of Jesus would be filled with this love, and the kind of love that God showed, the kind of love that Jesus showed, the kind of love that those who are led by that same spirit would show. I never saw that. That doesn't mean that I didn't see small acts of compassion, small acts of love here and there every now and then, and for those, I'm sure heaven is grateful. But this is not about heaven being grateful. This is about you being grateful. This is a message that was brought here for you. And I have spent, after I left college, I, like most people, getting out into life and all the things I had seen and heard about, never had a chance to do. But now I'm grown. I'm out of college. I got an education. I got a job. And some of those things that I didn't get a chance to do that I can do, that I was not embarrassed at. I wasn't stealing. I wasn't cheating anybody. I wasn't causing any harm to anyone. But these were things that would bring me pleasure or joy or fulfillment. And so I did them. And yet, there were a lot of doors open for me to go off, to branch off into this world and be successful, because being successful is an attitude. But that attitude has to accept the situation as it is. This attitude got to accept the kind of world we live in. That attitude has made adjustments. And so walking with that attitude, you can be successful just like anybody else and everybody else. I mean, there might be some prices to pay depending upon what path you take. But yes, the difference for me is that those paths always end up hurting people. And I had come to accept that there is a way that does not hurt anyone. And I came into that understanding because I ran into a power that was unseen, that was more miraculous than anything I had ever seen man do or heard of men do. I had never and have never heard of human beings being able to do what I was confronted with. That made me a believer that there is something greater than all of the humankind, greater than all of you people out there who I'm talking to and those who flip me off, greater than all of you, who is loving, who made that love physical, made that love real to me at that moment, at that time. And so that's how I see the Creator. All this other stuff I see out here is us, is mankind. And I never would have believed that we would grow up, my generation, who came through Dr. King and the freedom struggles and all of that, would walk through this life in bondage. Walk through this life worse than our parents were, as separated from truth as our great-grandparents were. I never would have believed it. But it was true. And I've done everything I could possibly do that I could live with so far to bring that message to you, to assure you that I'm confident that everything that I tell you about this different life is true. I've taken chances where I have pursued political office just to use that as a platform to speak to you, and knowing that I would have to fight against any system, but I would be in a position to be seen and to be heard. And you, my friends, is where the message is to be directed. But I couldn't get enough support to walk out of the door. And I did that several times, but never got any support, not from the general public who would be blessed, or the people who love Jesus and love God and who are filled with fire. I never got any support from any of them. I'm not condemning you. I'm just saying a fact. I never got any support from any of you. When that failed, I decided that you were so blind that I'd have to try to do something else. I decided to break the law. I committed crimes against the state of Minnesota. I ended up knowing that I would go to court. My purpose was to get you in court to share with you what I've been sharing with you all the while, sitting on that stand, making it a public record to you that I'm confident about peace and prosperity and joy. And I put myself in that position to let you know, if you can't believe that, if you can't accept that, then I will be found guilty and I will do time. But I would rather take a chance on doing time than to not risk talking to you. I talked to you. It didn't do any good. So I served the time. I've done that several times. But in the meaning, I've been blessed. But I want you to know that just as an individual being blessed is good enough only to keep me here to do the work that I've been doing, but it's not good enough to be living. Living is when we as people together can live, experiencing our dreams and not conflicting or hurting anyone, and everybody everywhere is happy and praising one another for the reality that they finally accepted, and that is that the Maker knows best. And so I sit here today knowing that based upon what's going on, you know, you brought in evil to run the country. And now all the women are getting together. And they are trying to draw attention to their cause. But they haven't learned. This is what hurts me. Marching with your placards and your signs, they have some benefit, but it is not about change. See, what they can do is grab a few of you out there and throw some dust at you, and you get satisfied and start talking that satisfied talk, and everything will quiet down. You don't realize that the power is in all of you. Every sign that's out there, whether it's the same sign or whether it is different, it is as powerful as any sign. And when you bring all of those signs together, you got a conglomeration of power that can change not only this nation, but could change the world. But you, based upon our training, based upon our teaching, based upon our everyday living, we cannot see that. And if we see it, there's a fear that's built in us that will not allow us to move as if free. And so that is why I say to most people, in order to be able to take that step, you must be born again. Now, I don't know how I got to this point, but I want to tell you how you can be strong enough to go forward. You got to be born again. And what do I mean when I say be born again? When I say be born again, I mean you see a different world. You see that world beautifully. And that world is comprised of all of us, with all of that which exists in problems and all of the things that's disgusting. It doesn't exist there. And you see it absent there. And you begin to walk according to the principles that created that in the midst of this hell where you're at. Why? Because you are born again. You've made a decision that you are going to walk according to the light and not according to the darkness. You see this well enough to be able to make that decision. People might be able to see that, but some of them will never ever make that decision. So they're not born again. No, the born again means to be able to make the decision, make that choice, and then do it. So my next situation, as far as this system is concerned, on the 20th of this month, I'll be going to court for some simple matter, speeding, a traffic ticket, that I am going to refuse to pay. I refuse to even make a plea. In other words, what I'm saying to this nation and to all of you, we're sisters and brothers, but as far as this nation having control over Eddie Marcus, I'm taking back my sovereignty. This nation is not qualified. It is not moral enough to govern me. And that being the case, I will walk according to the dictates of the Spirit as it teaches me. And I will walk wherever on this earth that I want, because this is God's earth. And everything that exists is nothing but a plan of man that's denying all of you the peace and joy and love that God has provided for you. That I and the thousands or millions of us, however long we've been here, have been coming back and forth, trying to wake you up, and what it is, what it is. I want to thank you so very much for giving me this your time, and hopefully I might have said something to benefit you as well as myself. Bye-bye.